Hey there, Marina Orms here with Astrology for Nurses, and I've got several videos on this channel that are tailored specifically to nurses and other holistic healers who may be interested in how to use astrology to support your patients in their healing process. So obviously, astrology is not a replacement for or any kind of medical approach, but it can be an energetic approach that supports a person in their empowerment, in their self-awareness, in their ability to understand themselves and make lifestyle choices based on what they're experiencing internally and how it feels to them. So in other words, in medicine and the healthcare system, one of the things we do is we treat according to diagnosis. And so what is the problem someone is experiencing, and we address that problem, and we do our research based on that problem and the treatments for that problem. But what we're not doing is addressing the needs of the person. And so that's what holistic nursing can provide. It can also be a perspective in how we think about things. So again, it is definitely not a replacement for medical treatments of any kind, any procedures, therapeutics, pharmaceuticals, anything that we might use. It's not a replacement for those things, but it can be a supportive adjunct to help someone in their process. And one of my absolute favorite ways that we can use astrology to do that is by understanding the lunar nodes. The lunar nodes in our chart describe the process of growth and development of our soul, of our experience, of things that challenge us internally, and how to meet those challenges to be more empowered, to be more effective, to be stronger within ourselves, and more able to overcome some of the things that do challenge us. So for instance, one person might have more of an issue with shyness than another person, or one person might have more of an issue with working with their physical body than another person. So all of these things can be seen by the whole chart. The whole chart gives us more information into kind of an x-ray into a person's psyche and how they experience things. When we look at the lunar nodes, what they give us insight into specifically, and not all astrologers use the lunar nodes, a lot of them do, and it's becoming more widespread these days. But the lunar nodes are a part of the chart that show us kind of where we have been karmically. Like, maybe you want to think about it in terms of past lives, if you believe in past lives or use that as a way of describing things. Maybe you want to think about it in terms of just how a person is wired unconsciously, what their sort of natural or default state of approaching things is. And so the lunar nodes give us a little insight into a person's sort of default or unconscious approach, as well as what's going to be most beneficial or helpful to them from an internal perspective. So the way that they see things, the way that they approach decisions and choices and actions and behaviors for themselves. So you can see how this would be like huge when you're looking at making difficult lifestyle changes for a person to understand kind of what holds them back and what's going to help them personally to have those breakthroughs and be able to take charge of their own wellness and wholeness. So the lunar nodes, what I'm going to do here is kind of give you an overview of what the lunar nodes are and how they work, and kind of just a big broad strokes in terms of the elements. And then in future videos, I'm going to go into more in depth in each lunar node pair, what that might look like for an individual in their own healing process. So first of all, what are the lunar nodes? They are mathematical points that have to do with where the moon's orbit around the Earth crosses the plane of the Earth's orbit around the sun. So in other words, it's called the plane of the ecliptic because when the new moon or the full moon falls in that plane, we have an eclipse. Because a full moon or a new moon can happen at any point in the moon's orbit, but when it happens on that plane of the Earth's orbit around the sun, that's when we get an eclipse. So in other words, the nodes are the points where those eclipses happen. So anyway, you don't have to remember that. It's not important to what I'm going to tell you, but some people like to know what these things are. So what the lunar nodes are and what they mean and represent in the chart is we have 2 points. We have a South Lunar Node and a North Lunar Node. The South Lunar Node shows our past. It shows where we come from. It shows what kinds of things we might have been dealing with in past lives and how we understand the ways that we are wired and the natural approaches and attitudes we have based on how we might have gotten through in past lives or what we might have needed to do to survive. So it's kind of a hardwired into us. It is something that we default into. It's unconscious. It's something we're good at. It's something we know how to do. And so I'll give you some examples of that in a minute. But first, let me just quickly share that the North Node is, so if the South Node is the past, is the karma, the wiring that's inside of you, the default way of responding, the North Node is the medicine. So the North Node is going to represent the energy of what it looks like for the soul to move forward, to heal, to choose different ways that are more nurturing to the self, the soul, the psyche, and what that person needs, and what's going to be more empowering for them and help them overcome the things that are challenging, that hold them back, and step into the highest possibilities. So the South Node is the past, the North Node is the medicine. Let's look at some examples of how this can work. And I'm going to put the examples in the context of the 4 elements. So first of all, how do you know what someone's South Node, North Node is? They change, the signs change every 19 months. So we've got a period of time where we can kind of look at charts and see, okay, if your birthday was this year and this month and this day is, probably when the lunar nodes were in this pair of signs, and they're always exactly opposite. So anyway, it depends how knowledgeable you are in astrology, but the sign, you might know some of the signs of the zodiac come in opposites of pairs. So what you're going to do is you're going to look up the birth date of yourself or whatever individual you want to know the lunar nodes of, and I have a chart for you that you can use to find your lunar nodes based on your birthday. The chart will work in most cases, if you find that the birthday you're looking at is really close to when it changed signs, so within a couple of days of the date that it changes, then you want to check with an astrologer, because there are time zones, there are time of day of birth. There's all kinds of different factors that could push it one way or the other. So if it's within a couple of days of when it changes, you want to check with an astrologer and find out for sure. But if it's not within a couple of days of when it changes, which is for the case for most people, then it will be easy to look it up on a chart. Okay, so I'll give you the link to that chart here in the comments and the description for this video. So you should be able to find that link and look up your lunar nodes. And so what you're going to find on the chart is, looking at the range of dates, find your birthday, and it's going to tell you your South Node is and your North Node is. And it's going to tell you the sign, but it's also going to give you the element. And so all of the zodiac signs come in one of 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water. And so your South Node is going to be in one of those 4, and your North Node is going to be in a different element, and they're opposite. So if you look up your South Node and you find that it is in an earth sign, that means, so that's going to be Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. That means that in the karmic past, you were someone who coped, who got through things through practical skills and abilities. So you might have been dealing with challenging circumstances, with issues around resources, with poverty, with a feeling of needing control over your environment or resources, fears of those resources disappearing. That could be like, fears of crop failure. It could also be just a life of poverty. It could be dealing with issues of physical health. So something along those lines that has to do with your physical being was what you had to manage and deal with in either a past life or in the way that your sort of default unconscious way of approaching things is going to be. So for someone with a South Node in an earth sign, your default approach is going to be very practical, to think things through and have control over the worldly things, the resources, the practical issues. And what's going to be, so that's the past, right? And then the medicine for someone, the North Node, for someone with a South Node in an earth sign, the medicine is going to be in the element of water. So for people who have that South Node in an earth sign, their North Node, in other words, the thing that's going to be the most beneficial to them, is going to be a focus on the intangible. So meeting needs, self-care, emotions, feelings, intangible energies, qualities, intuition, dealing with themes of the feeling of being cared for. So people with a South Node in an earth sign need that approach, or naturally, right, unconsciously, are going to focus on control and needing to know what's happening, how it works, what do I do about it, that focus on the practical. But really, what for them to really move forward, for their soul to do what their soul needs to do, and to move through a health issue or a challenge of any kind that's coming up in their life, what's really what the lesson in that health challenge or issue is it something that's asking them to think about, what do I need? How do I feel? How do I need to be cared for? How do I need to think about my feelings, right? There's been no, think about a karmic past where the focus was on poverty or fear that resources food wasn't going to be there, right? The roof over your head wasn't going to be there. So there's no time or reasonableness to even think about, what do I care about? How do I feel about that? What do I want? What do I need? What do I need to process emotionally? And so for those people that need to feel things and be supported in their emotional process, and to be cared for and have the feeling of caring, and to learn how to take care of themselves and slow down and attend to needs and attend to emotions. That's going to be their magic medicine. And it's going to be what's going to help their soul to learn and grow through whatever kind of issue they're experiencing. I'm going to do one more here, and then I think we'll follow up with another video on this topic. So that's an Earth sign in or a South Lunar Node sign in Earth. And so if someone has a South Node in, say, well, water would be the opposite, but let's do a different one. Let's do a South Node in fire. So if someone has a South Node in fire, it means that in the karmic past, they were used to doing. No time to think. It's like being on a battlefield. It's like needing to constantly be on the move as a nomad, or it is like a constant sort of performance and expression. And so those people go into a mode, their default, their unconscious way of responding to issues and situations is going to be doing, going, never stopping. It's going to be, continuing to push things forward, to respond, to react, to think about what comes next. And then for those people, so there's no time to stop and think. There's no time to reflect. There's no time to gather information or seek input. And those are the kinds of things that are going to really be their medicine. So for someone with a South Node in fire, the North Node is going to be in air. And so the fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And so somebody with now remember, this is different from your sun sign, totally different. This is about the lunar nodes in your chart and finding these on based on your date of birth in that chart that I will link for you. So if the South Node is in a fire sign, Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, that person could have that default going kind of mode, always moving, always on the go, always reacting to what is happening, and never stopping to think. So the medicine in that case is going to be the air energy. And so the air sign that is opposite the fire sign, and that could be Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, depending on what the South Node is in. But the North Node will be in an air sign. And in this situation, the medicine for those people is, you guessed it, to stop and think, to gather information, to educate and inform yourself, to talk it through with a friend, even a conversation, a dialogue, a sharing of ideas, asking for your opinion, and all of that, right, requires slowing down and taking time to think about things, to work through the ideas, the information, the data. And so that's going to be the medicine for someone with a South Node in fire, who's go, always needing to react. The medicine for those people is to stop, to slow down, to think things through, to take the time and energy to gather more information, learn about things, share ideas, and get insights and input from other opinions, other perspectives, cooperate, collaborate, get some ideas from other places. So there's two of the four elements for you to chew on. And I know even just that is like, it's a lot to take in. So let's review. Let's just slow down and go back to the basics. So a pair of lunar nodes in your chart is a South Node and a North Node. In other words, the South Node is the past, it's the karmic past, it's how you're wired, And then the North Node is the medicine, or what's going to be beneficial to you, what's going to help you move through and get past challenges and be empowered to step into your highest potential. So we got the karmic past and we've got the medicine. And where the South Node is tells you something about the person's default way of dealing with issues and situations and challenges and stress. And then the North Node is going to tell you what is beneficial to them, what they're needing to learn, and take baby steps, because it doesn't feel easy or natural to them. It's something they're learning how to do. So again, we can find the South Node and the North Node on the chart, and the South Node will be in one of the 4 elements. It's going to be in earth, air, fire, or water. Here today, we talked about 2 examples, South Node in an earth sign and a South Node in a fire sign. And then next time, we'll talk about the other 2, a South Node in water sign and a South Node in an air sign. So, okay, but with the South Node in an earth sign and with the South Node in a water sign, we're going to have a North Node that represents the path of healing for that quality. So the path of healing for a South Node in an earth sign is going to be that the water energy, the healing, the nurturing, the caring, the needs, the slowing down to focus on feelings and emotions. And the medicine for a fire sign South Node is going to be an air sign. So the medicine, if your South Node is in a fire sign, the medicine is the slowing down, the thinking, the gathering information, learning, and processing the ideas to make a decision, right? Instead of just taking action. And like when you're on a battlefield and you don't have time to think, you just have to, that sword is coming at you, you just got to do what you got to do. There's no time to think. So for those people, the path of the medicine is going to be this North Node in air, which is about thinking things through and slowing down and reflecting and processing information and ideas. Okay, so that was a lot. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope you got something out of today. And if you've heard some of this from me or somewhere else before, maybe this was review. If it's brand new, just sit with it, because we'll take some more time to go through it, and I know it's a lot to absorb. So I'll be back and we'll do that next time. Thank you so much for being here and for your interest in this fascinating topic that can really be beneficial to us in creating wellness for ourselves and stepping into our most empowered selves to make the lifestyle changes that are ultimately going to most powerfully benefit our health, our wellness, our sense of feeling peaceful, of feeling good about our choices. Even when we're faced with difficult choices, we can feel good about what we've done internally when we are in alignment with what our soul is needing. So that's what it's all about. Thanks for being here and for subscribing to this channel. I've got much more information for nurses and holistic healers to share with you. So check it out, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.